your identity instead. Transform your goals through identity-based change.
If you were to do that, you must change your identity. Soon could use it on my video. Today identity change. Please would figure how and why it's important.
I'll tell you how and why it's so important.
Take it away, Chris.
I'll take it away. These videos are a collaboration. Sourena, who has cerebral palsy, develops the written material and I present it on camera. You're not failing because of your lack of willpower. You're failing because you're still trying to be someone that you're not. Now, what if Sourena told you that the key to achieving any goal isn't about what you want, it's about who you become? Today, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful concepts from James Clear's Atomic Habits that nobody talks about, but everybody should, and that's identity-based change. This isn't about motivation. It's not about discipline. This is about fundamentally rewriting how you see yourself. And once you get that right, everything falls into place. The problem that most people face is the identity gap. You know, Sourena watched countless people struggle to achieve their goals because their self-perception doesn't match reality. Here's some examples that Sourena always shares. I'm the really hard worker and I just got unlucky. When the truth is others are actually working harder. I'm good with money. Well, I'm actually drowning in debt and making poor decisions when it comes to spending. Or I'm healthy while you're eating fast food and you're never hitting the gym. Those are examples of that identity gap. So there's a core issue here. The gap between who you think you are and who you actually are. And that's the space, unfortunately, where dreams go to die. So how do we bridge that gap? Well, it starts with understanding the 3 levels of change. So there are 3 levels of change, and this is inspired by James Clear again in his book Atomic Habits. Level 1 of change, it's outcome change, and that's the surface level. And what it basically is it's focusing on results. So examples of outcome change are, I want to make more money, I want to lose 20 pounds, I want a promotion. But Sourena will tell you that when you think of this type of change, this outcome-based change, where you're just focused on the results, it's sort of like treating the symptoms without actually curing the disease. Then there's level 2, and this is process change. And this is sort of the middle ground, right? It's identifying what actually needs to shift if you want to actually change, right? So going back to our examples, if you want to get fit, well, you got to start working out and eating better, right? If you want career growth, you got to upgrade your skills and network with decision makers. If you want to save money, you've got to make more deposits and spend less and really manage your budget better. Now that's better than outcome focused, the level 1 change, but it's still not enough. Then there's level 3, and this is the game changer. And what it is, basically, fundamentally shifting who you are. Again, level 1 is okay, but it doesn't generally get the results we want. Level 2 is better, but it's still not going to get us all the way there. It's this level 3, the identity change, that really is going to make the difference, right? We want to shift exactly who we are. So this is where we stop being someone trying to achieve something, and we actually become the type of person who actually achieves their goals. And this is the deepest level of change and also the most powerful. Sourena likes to share one of James Clear's stories. It's called the smoker story. Now there's 2 former smokers and they're both offered a cigarette. So here's what happened. Person 1 is more the level 1 and maybe even the level 2 type of change, right? They're offered the cigarette and they say, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. I don't want to resume smoking. So they still identify as a smoker who's trying to quit. They're fighting against themselves and they're relying on willpower, which we all know is a diminishing resource. Then there's person 2. This is the person that's in that level 3 identity change. No, thank you. I don't smoke. I'm a non-smoker. That's how they're identifying themselves. So this person has adopted the non-smoker identity. So it's not as much of a struggle. It's just who they are and how they see themselves. And this makes it much more effortless in order to not start smoking again. So really, it's somebody that wants the same outcome, but 2 different identities. And the difference, well, if you identify and you change that, you're going to affect every small decision in a positive way. Even moments of temptations, it's going to help make better choices in all situations. Identity drives behavior. Your identity creates your reality. When you say, I'm not good with money, you're reinforcing bad financial behavior. When you say, I'm just unlucky, you're giving away your power. These aren't just words, they're insecurities, and what they're doing is they're reinforcing a weakness. Sourena sees himself as a writer, as a positive person, someone with a strong mindset. It's not just what he does, it's who he is. That has become his identity, and now his actions naturally align with that. So that's how someone like Sourena, who had so many challenges in life as we all do, but also from cerebral palsy, was able to accomplish such amazing things. He created this identity. It was an identity-based change, right? Again, he doesn't try to write, try to be positive, or try to have a better mindset. He is a writer, a positive person, and has a strong mindset, and that was essential for his success, that identity change. So here's really the crucial aspect of all of this, the critical truth. Your identity must match your actions, right? Every disconnect breeds and undermines your progress. So here's an example of disconnects, right? It's one thing to say, I'm a positive person, but then you find that you're always complaining, right? It's saying, I'm a hard worker and I persist through anything. And then you find yourself slacking off or giving up when things become difficult, right? Or, calling yourself disciplined and then finding that you're doom scrolling on social media all day and not actually getting your work done. So again, it's not enough to just say you're this person. Your actions have to align with it, and that's where the magic happens. So this is all great information, but here's the real important part is, well, how do we actually change our identity, right? So one, you're going to identify the traits you need, right? What kind of person do you need to be to achieve your goals, right? Maybe you need to be somebody who's determined and focused and somebody that can handle challenging situations, somebody who's willing to reach out to others and find help when necessary, or you've got to accomplish special skills and build competencies in order to get where you need to go. So again, step one is identify the traits that you need. Step two is stop proving with words and start proving with actions. And this aligns with what we said before about you need to identify as a certain type of person, but your actions need to match that. If not, there's a disconnect that won't help propel you forward, right? So don't just tell people who you are, right? Don't just tell people this is how I identify. Show them through consistent behavior and taking the correct actions. And remember, small actions repeated is identity reinforcement. Step three, close the gap. Recognize when your actions aren't matching your stated identity. And that's crucial. Think about, are my behaviors matching my priorities? Are the actions I'm taking matching that stated identity that I've created? If not, course correct immediately. Don't punish yourself, don't get down on yourself, but make those changes as quickly as you can. Because every aligned action will strengthen your identity, and every misaligned action will damage that identity, right? Those two things are just truths that you have to understand. But when who you are aligns with what you do, that's when you become unstoppable. So here's a few of Sorena's practical examples. If I want to improve my overall health and fitness, and I say, I'm trying to get in shape, that's not an identity change. The right way to go about that is, I'm a healthy person, I'm an athlete, and I also act like one. Another example with your career, the wrong thing to do is say, I want to be successful, or I want to be a successful person, right? The right way is, I'm a professional who always delivers excellence, and then actually deliver that. Examples from finance, right? To say, I'm trying to save money or build my wealth, right? That's the wrong way to approach it. That's not an identity change. The identity change, the right way to go about it is, I'm financially responsible and I make responsible choices, right? How about a relationship example, right? I want to be a better partner. Well, that's really nice to say. That's not the correct way to go about it. That's not an identity change. I'm someone who shows up for the people I love, and I'm mindful and present, and I put them first. Identify as that, by the way, and then show up and actually do that. So here's a closing challenge. Remember, you don't achieve goals by wanting outcomes. You achieve them by becoming the person who naturally achieves those outcomes. So the question here is your identity question. What identity do you need to adopt to achieve your goals? Knowledge is potential. Action is power. So it's important that you take action. That's something Sourena wants all of you to do, is not just listen and take notes, but actually take action with this knowledge. So start today by acting as if you're already that person. Make one decision that completely reflects that new identity, right? So remember this. You're not stuck being who you were yesterday. You're only stuck there if you let yourself be stuck. You choose who you become today. And that choice, well, when done well, when it becomes identity change, it will absolutely change everything.